So today, we're going to tackle a huge, and I mean huge shift that's happening right under our noses. It affects every single one of us, and it's all about the very nature of money itself. You see, a new global system is being born, one that's incredibly digital, but, and here's the paradox, it's being anchored by very, very physical assets, like gold.
I just love this quote because it completely nails what's happening right now. The big cycles, how monetary systems are born, how they live, and how they eventually die, those are timeless. What changes are the names, the technology, the packaging, the brand.
And that right there brings us to the big question for this whole explainer. The system we've known our entire lives, well, it seems to be hitting its limits. So, is the money in your bank account, the very idea of a dollar, about to get a major rebrand for the 21st century? All right, let's dive in and find out. To really get a handle on where we're headed, you've got to look back first. See, monetary systems aren't permanent, not at all. They have a lifespan, and for generations, they follow this really predictable pattern of, well, rebranding. This pattern was laid out so clearly by an analyst named Peter Miller way back in 2006. It all kicks off with Phase 1, a big boom of credit expansion, right? Money's cheap, it's easy to borrow. But that always, and I mean always, leads to Phase 2, overextension, where the debt just grows way, way faster than the actual economy. And then comes Phase 3, the collapse. That's when trust in the money and the whole credit system itself just evaporates. And that forces everyone into Phase 4, a re-anchoring. The system has to be tied back to something real, something tangible, like gold, just to get people to believe in it again.
So which phase are we in right now? Well, a lot of people would argue we are deep, deep into the overextension phase of what you could call the empire of debt. And this is the system that has defined the entire world for the last 50 years.
This visual right here shows the big shift perfectly. Before 1971, the dollar was literally chained to gold. Yeah, it was stable, but it was also really rigid. After 1971, that chain was completely broken. We moved to what's called a fiat system, where money isn't backed by a physical thing, but by government debt and a promise. Now, this gave us incredible flexibility for sure, but it also built fragility right into the very core of the system. And the result of that shift? We've got a global economy that needs more and more debt, constantly, just to keep moving forward. It's like a machine that's addicted to credit. And now, we're seeing all those signs of exhaustion that Peter Miller talked about, just record levels of government debt and a policy addiction to printing endless amounts of money. But you know how it goes? Every huge problem seems to invite a solution. And the solution being proposed for our exhausted debt empire, it's a technological one. It's the rise of a new digital empire where money itself becomes programmable.
So how does this digital empire actually work? Well, it's not just one thing. It's a whole new toolkit. You've got stablecoins. Those are digital dollars from private companies. Then you've got central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs. That's the government's official version of digital cash. And then you have things like tokenized treasuries and unified ledgers, all designed to create this seamless, programmable financial system. The key thing to get here is that these aren't really replacing the dollar. They're creating a new, purely digital expression of it.
Now, at the heart of all of this is one really important concept: tokenization. It's a simple but totally revolutionary idea. You take any real-world asset, a government bond, a barrel of oil, a bar of gold, and you create a digital twin, a token that can be traded instantly, anywhere in the world, on a shared network. And this leads to a really profound change in how trust works. I mean, think about it. In a world where your money, your identity, and all your payments can be merged onto a single digital ledger, trust isn't really about your choice anymore. It's enforced by the code that runs the system. But here's the big twist in our story. Just as money is becoming pure code, something very old and very physical is making a dramatic comeback. It turns out the digital empire actually needs a physical anchor. Which brings us to this critical question. I mean, if the future is all about digital currencies and tokenized assets, why on earth are the world's most powerful financial institutions, the central banks, stockpiling thousands and thousands of tons of physical metal? And I mean, look at the data. It's undeniable. Since 2010, central banks have become massive net buyers of gold. And look who's leading the charge. It's Eastern powers like China, Russia, and the Gulf states. They are all accumulating the one asset that you just can't code, you can't hack, and you can't default on.
So here's the answer. The goal isn't to go back to paying for stuff with gold coins. No. It's to create a new hierarchy of collateral.
The idea is to have all the digital tokens, all the programmable money, ultimately backed by tangible assets that exist outside the digital network itself. It's like a firewall that can't be deleted.
This new physical base is really made of three key parts. First, you've got gold. That's the ultimate layer of financial trust, a neutral asset for settling big balances between countries. Then you have silver, which is the bridge to productive energy. It links finance to the industrial and tech sectors. And finally, you have other commodities, like oil and gas, which ground the whole system in real-world value.
So when we start putting all these pieces together, the digital tools on one side and the physical anchors on the other, a whole new monetary map of the world starts to emerge. And it looks less like an empire ruled by one country and a lot more like a distributed network where different regions all play specific roles.
In this new system, it's almost like everyone has an assigned job. The US, it's still the liquidity engine, pumping out digital dollars and treasuries. China, it provides the industrial output. India brings the scalable labor and the digital infrastructure. The Gulf states, they're converting energy into capital. And Europe handles all the legal and settlement plumbing. Every part has a very specific function.
Now, the most important thing to understand here is that this is not a story about replacement. It's a story about interconnection. It's about building a system where different economic blocks can work together, with physical collateral like gold acting as a neutral bridge. It ensures that value can move across political divides because it's backed by a real asset that both sides trust.
This one sentence just perfectly sums up this entire transformation. We spent a whole century making money abstract, detaching it from anything real. And now, we're using our most advanced technology, code, to literally stitch money back to physical matter.
So, as we wrap this up, it really begs the question, right? What does a future like this even look like? A world of total digital efficiency and maybe even control, but one that's built on a foundation of the most ancient and tangible forms of value on Earth.
And I'll leave you with this final kind of paradoxical thought. This new programmable digital order, it may be designed to track every single transaction and close every exit from the formal system, and yet the credibility of that entire system ultimately rests on the physical metal that lies completely beyond its digital control.